I'm going to give you guys my thoughts and opinions on the career mode deep dive for FC27. And off the bat, I'm a little bit worried. I am a little bit worried. Not because of what they've shown, but because of what they haven't shown. Now, I said this in my Discord the other day, and that was, they haven't mentioned anything about the tactics. And that is very worrying for me. Yeah, I mean, look, we saw in, I think it was FC25 when they overhauled the tactical system. They went from the old school one to what we have currently with the new FCIQ and the new role system and everything like that. And last year, I don't even think that they mentioned anything about the tactics in either of their trailers. And what that ended up being was just them adding, I think it was like 3 or 4 extra player roles. I would like to still see more improvements and more additions to the tactics, and I'm hoping that they haven't mentioned anything, but it will have new things added to it. So now that that is out the way, those are my thoughts and opinions on the tactics. I am very disappointed though that I have not been able to discover anything new when it comes to that aspect of the game. But in terms of the career mode deep dive, I've realized my cursor's been on the thing the entire time. But in terms of this, there are a lot of cool things that I'm very excited about. So let's hop on into the trailer and I'll run through the things that I like, some of the things that I don't like, and some of the concerns that I might have. So if you like this video, don't forget to like the video, that'd be great. And also, if you are new to the channel, subscribe. We are close to 34,000 subscribers. And yes, if you'd like to join in with some of the chats and conversations that we have on Discord, the link for that is down below in the description. So let's get the show on the road. So off the bat, they've already shown now, of course, it's a bit annoying that they have put something over it, but they've shown the new transfer negotiation screen effectively, which I quite like. I thought the cutscenes were a cool addition when they were first introduced back in FC25, FC24, maybe, I don't know, something along those lines. Actually, I don't know when the cutscenes were actually introduced. However, for many years, people have said the little transfer flip file folder thing that we once had for, you know, very old school FIFAs like FIFA 10, 11, 12, and so on. That was just the GOAT. And they've kind of reimagined that, modernized it, and added a few new things, such as the other clauses, the buyback clause, the sell-on clause, and all that stuff. I mean, I'm pretty sure we've always had a sell-on clause. Yes, we have, but you guys know what I mean. Like the new sort of things that you can introduce, the player status is more or less the same, and the performance bonuses are more or less the same. So basically, it's just the other clause that you can now interact with and all that stuff. Otherwise, the rest of the stuff is pretty much bog standard, what we've had in the past. Of course, they've just changed the background layout. But nonetheless, it could be quite cool, and I do see that there is going to be at least a few cutscenes where you will see a player like Daniel Marlin signing for Roma on a permanent deal. So he's going to be signing the dotted lines, and it's... I'm throwing my remote around. It's quite nice. It's quite nice. It will be a great switch up. It's going to make career mode feel a bit new, a bit more refreshed. But again, with the cutscenes, they will inevitably become a bit more redundant after a while. Like, you'll get too used to them and you'll be like, okay, I'm skipping this. The first few times you're gonna be like, great. I like the fact that they have, by the sounds of it, reduced the amount of cutscenes that we will see. And then they also mentioned like dynamic overalls and stuff like that. Now, I just wanted to read here, standout training performances. Okay. So obviously I have already watched this trailer, but they mentioned something like 25 new unexpected events. So obviously the first one that they've shown us is obviously a player has been working really well in training, and they might be up for a game that's coming up, and they might perform better than your potential initial starter. So in this situation with City, you might be starting Elliot Anderson, Rodri if he's still there in your double pivot. But because the likes of Tijani Reinders has been performing so well, you might want to bench Anderson, your £116 million player, and you might want to start Reinders over him. And he might actually have a better impact. We don't know. So I do like that they have added that. Also, I like this. Okay, so they have shown like a few extra cutscenes, which... little sneak peek behind the scenes. I don't know how many new cutscenes there will be, but you do see throughout the trailer like some of the players holding up the shirt, some of the players signing their contracts. If it's a star player, they might be showing their shirt inside the stadium alongside the manager, which again is quite nice. Also, by the way, this Wolverhampton badge is quite nice. I mean, I saw, off topic, I saw their away kits today, and I thought it was a 10 out of 10. It looks very nice. So maybe on the channel we might see a Wolverhampton Wanderers career mode just based off of their kits, but it could be a cool career mode nonetheless. But I do like the new cutscenes as well. Again, it's just new, right? Oh, as I was saying earlier, we have a cleaner look at the situation at hand. But again, all I see here is, okay, hang on. This is a different screen. Before it was a screen between the player and the club. Now it's a screen between the manager and the opposite club that you're trying to buy from. So start dates immediately. So this means that you could potentially, from what I'm gathering here, is you could potentially buy a player for next season. So if you're in the summer window and you want to buy a player for the following summer window, you could potentially go ahead and do that. I think, maybe, I don't know. I also like the idea of the installments. That'll help, especially for like a road to glory career mode, or if you're starting with a club that doesn't have as much money as a City or a Man United or a Chelsea. You could then go and stretch out your payment structure, which, to be honest, even those big clubs do tend to do as well. But you could stretch it out and save yourself, instead of paying an exact 50 million for a player, you can say 10 million over 5 installments, so 10 million a year. I like that idea. I love that idea, actually. I would also like to see what the other clauses would entail. Obviously, potential buyback clause, the sell-on clause, and stuff like that. I think they do mention it. So that if you can just if you could just rewind it there, it does say, I missed it again, but it does say a buyback clause, which is pretty cool as well. And then they do mention the performance bonuses. They are a bit more in detail. So if we qualify for the Champions League in this situation, Rio Ngamoa will definitely be getting a $250,000 increase or payments or something like that. I don't like the fact that this is Liverpool that we're negotiating with, and they've used dollars. It's got to be in pounds. I mean, it also does depend on who the who the actual team is, but it's got to be in pounds or euros. Come on. Another little cutscene that we do see here, although it's pretty much the same as before. Yes, I did hear this, and I was very gassed about this. So obviously they've kind of also restructured the mentality of certain players. You're not going to be paying a young player 50, 60, 70k a week unless they're an insane young player, maybe a Rio Ngamoa. But even then, you're going to give them the standardized approach of here's 30k, here's 40k, if obviously you're a top end prospect. And if you're a lower scaled sort of prospect, they're going to get around 10, 20, maybe even less, depending on which league you're playing in. So I do like that idea, and I also like the fact that we might see players who get into their late 20s, early 30s, and it's their last big chance at a massive contract. They're going to want to try and capitalize on that. So instead of you paying Bruno Fernandes around 200k a week, even though he's rated 89 overall for Man United, because in FC26 you could do that. Now he's going to say, hang on, I'm 31 years old. This is my last big contract. I want 350k a week, because that's what I want. That's what my value is. I probably deserve more. So I do like that idea quite a bit, and it makes a lot of sense in my head. I also like this little screen here. It also allows you to show certain actions and stuff like that. But I like this. It's a bit more detail, and that's what career mode players have been asking for so long. So I do like this. I like that you get to actually like see the player and see their value. And I mean, it is what we've had before, but it's different. It's like a fresh layer of paint, you could say, and it just looks so much better. Now, in terms of they talk about, like, obviously if you have the realistic transfer negotiations on and all that stuff, I do like it. I tend to normally play with it. However, we have seen over these last maybe 3 or 4 years, we have seen clubs, rival clubs, negotiate with each other. Now, I don't like the fact that you will never see that happening. I like that we don't see it happening all the time, but I don't like the idea that we don't see it happening. And then of course you could say, well, just switch it to loose or whatever. That's fine, but then you'll have it occurring a lot more. The only way you can grab a player from the opposition team is if you pay their release clause, even if they have a release clause. We've seen United negotiate with Chelsea over multiple deals. If you have your transfer negotiations set to strict, which is what this will entail, you'll never see any deals happening. We've seen Garnacho go from United to Chelsea. We've seen Mason Mount go from Chelsea to United. We've seen Andre Santos go from Chelsea to Man United. We've seen Antoine Griezmann go from Atletico Madrid to Barcelona. We might potentially see Julian Alvarez go from Atletico Madrid to Barcelona, of course. The one thing I would have liked to have seen is, if there are rivals negotiating, it's a much tougher set of negotiations. Therefore, there's less leeway, or little to no leeway, between getting a deal done and getting a failure of a deal over the line, if that makes sense. So, for example, Barcelona wants Alvarez. Atletico Madrid have said he's not for sale. Barcelona could potentially look to try and overpay for Alvarez to get the deal over the line. That's what they did for Antoine Griezmann back in, I don't know now, what, 2019, 2020? They had to pay around 150 million or 145 million or whatever it was that they paid for him. We should be able to do that now with a strict set of transfer negotiations, but instead we're not going to get that, because it's going to be like the little pop-up, oh, this is a rival club, we're not going to negotiate. So I don't like that as much. It feels too restrictive, if you ask me.
Bidding wars in FC27.
I do like this, more bidding wars. I like the fact that negotiation or a transfer could potentially be hijacked. I like that idea so much. It makes so much sense in my brain, especially if you have two top clubs going for one player. I like that. They could bid 90, I could try bid 95, they could come back and counter it with a 100 million sort of pound bid or dollar bid or whatever. I do like that a lot. Another thing that I have seen here is, obviously for whoever this player is, he's got a 73 overall. That 99, does that mean that that is his potential? Does that mean that he has the potential to be a 99 overall? So are EA now going to reveal player potentials? Obviously, it's a dynamic potential, so it will switch consistently throughout a career mode. But I do like the idea that they might potentially be showing that a bit more.
And we've improved.
Here's another cutscene. Now, this cutscene is obviously for I would assume it's for a star player. I would assume. One other thing that I would like to say is, I don't know how much it said that they paid for Grimaldo here, but in real life, I'm pretty sure Atletico Madrid paid like 15 million for him, which is insane considering he's like an 86, 87 overall in FIFA or FC. But in the game, you're never going to pay that amount of money. So they have said like, oh, transfer negotiations are going to be a lot more realistic. The player values are going to be a lot more realistic. But you are still seeing players like, with the quality of Grimaldo, going for insanely cheap deals. And of course, he is going to be one of Atletico Madrid's star players. But they were able to get him for around 15 to 20 million. It is very interesting to see how they might combat that with the player prices and everything.
And target more players overall to increase transfer activity happening across the world.
So this is the closest thing that we get to see to the tactics system, and apart from giving it again a fresh lick of paint, cool new background colors, and of course the OVR, just say overall, mate, but the overall switching, it does seem like everything is the same. You got your in possession, out of possession sort of tactics. It doesn't look like you will be able to move any of these players around. Of course, they're hovering over Jamal Musiala, and unless they've hidden certain things that we can't see here, it doesn't say any instructions. So for anybody who was holding out on potentially being able to grab the player and move the player around, and FC bringing that feature back, I wouldn't hold my breath. Unless somehow, some way, they've hidden it. I would have also liked to have seen, and I mean, maybe in actual career mode we will see it, but I would have liked to have seen like a bigger bench. We saw during the World Cup, obviously, there were much bigger benches that were available to the managers. But I would have liked to have seen, instead of it being a 9-player bench, was it a 9-player? Yeah, a 9-player bench. We have a 12-player bench. Because, I mean, there's literally room here for it. You have 3 extra slots. Just allows us to have 12 players on our bench.
In FC27, players will have a base.
Here is the squad hub. Again, it's a fresher new look. It's a more modernized look, if you ask me. I do like it. It does take us away from the older looking FC/FIFA squad hubs. And I mean, squad hub is somewhat a new feature as it is to career mode, but it's got a much better look to it now, if you ask me. And it says here, like Harry Kane, he's an 89 overall. His potential is 89. Could that go up even though he's 33 years old? Could that go up? Ready to play. I like that as well. Condition, ready to play. Oh, hang on. I was silly. It does tell you the potential here. So we are going to be told they have a potential of 92, and then it will fluctuate maybe potentially between 92 and 80 for Musiala, depending on how much he plays, how much he doesn't play. But yeah, that does look very, very interesting.
And as As that OVR fluctuates, so will their individual attributes.
I can't lie, a lot of people are going to be signing Rio Ingamo for their career modes. 73 overall, he's going to have a great price. And, I mean, he's got an 88 potential. So, a lot of people are going to be using him in FC 27.
To reflect the form they're in.
Oh, by the way, I've just seen this here. I like that they tell us their birth dates. The 29th of August 2008. That is, it's a small thing, but it just adds a lot more depth and value to a individual player.
You might find a surprise squad player who's really up for a big match.
So I did mention that earlier. If we have a player who's trained extra hard and he gets a start in a game versus Chelsea, he's going to play much better versus Chelsea than what he would normally. And I like that. I do like that they have added these different dynamics to each career mode, making it feel more authentic in a way.
So much more dynamic, and it challenges you to make tough decisions with players you're developing. Are they
also, I'm not going to try and rewind to go back, but Mateus Nunes's in-game face is actually in the game after they'd been promising us his in-game face for like 2 seasons.
In addition to development trajectories, we've extended dynamic potential to all leagues you've selected in deeper sims.
Nice, love that.
Scan the stats to identify rising potential players before they get noticed by other clubs. Your teammates will catch their breath off the ball late in matches. Players will slip more often when changing directions quickly, especially in wet conditions.
Could you imagine it's a rainy Champions League night? You're John Terry and you slip. I mean, pretty realistic. However, could you imagine you're I don't know, Barrow FC or Barrow. You're on a road to glory. You make it to the Champions League final. You're facing Real Madrid. One of your players slips over, Mbappe scores, and you lose the Champions League. That would send my head all the way to Mars and back. But I do like it. Of course, it does add that extra little flavor to the game. It does make the games feel different, especially for the authentic. I play an authentic gameplay, so it's going to affect me quite a bit. But I quite like that. I like the fact that the players being tired will actually affect how they play. I mean, before it was just that the sprint speed gets affected and you'll see them slow down. But even when they're off the ball, you'll see them working a little bit less. Now, these are certain things that have been promised in previous FIFAs and FC iterations, and they haven't always followed through with it. So it will be interesting to see if Osimhen in the 85th minute is still making that aggressive run to get into the position to score the goal, or if you're going to be a little bit slower and then you have to try and tweak your tactical play style to try and make sure that he's still getting into those positions, but of course not getting into those exact positions as if he was full stamina. Does that make sense? I hope that does.
And even make them more susceptible to injury.
That is also another thing. Injuries need to be a bit higher. we need to be seeing injuries take effect over a career mode. Now, I'm not saying get a player injured every week, but we have seen in the past, especially with the amount of games that have been introduced into football, we have seen teams go through these hectic spells of picking up an injury every week or every second week. Man United a few seasons ago had something crazy like 68 injuries when we finished 8th and won the FA Cup. We need to see things like that happen in career mode. It's not going to be great, but you as a career mode manager will have to adapt to those different situations. Maybe potentially you then start incorporating more younger players from your youth academy, and that will then unlock other avenues and other sort of storylines for your career mode. And again, it will just make things feel a lot better. So I like that they have said, and they've said this, it's on camera, that if your stamina is low, you're more susceptible to an injury to one of your players. So I do like that. Sports day disaster. Abraham has reported for training with a hamstring tear, which may keep him out for up to 3 weeks. He decided to take part in a parents' race. I mean, firstly, that's a fine of like 3 weeks' wages. You are an athlete, sir, and if you injure yourself whilst off duty, that is on you. I mean, we should be able to not just I understand, but we should be able to fine him 3 weeks' wages. I mean, if money's going to be a crazy factor and we've got all these different clauses, there should be a clause like that. However, it is pretty cool that they have added something like this into the game. Star asks for a break. I mean, we kind of did see something like this happen or take place in FC 26, where there was family issues or there was something family matters that needed to be seen to, and you could give them a game off or whatever. So maybe potentially we have an extended version of that. I mean, he's asking for a break. If you're asking for a break in a Premier League season, you're asking for what, 2 weeks off? In that 2-week period, if it's over December, you're missing about 4 to 5 games. So will we see things like that happen? It would be interesting to see. Again, it changes the dynamic of a career mode, and maybe you then have to look to your youth academy or look to the free agent market. And again, it creates these nice little narratives and storylines to enhance your career mode. Also, I do see that it does say, could you excuse me from today's training? It might change the sharpness of the player, but it would be cool if it was like a prolonged thing as well. Now, I mean, I have been seeing things on Twitter, and they have said, like, you know, journalists are going to ask these tough and dangerous questions, and it's going to be hard to answer. But how you answer those questions will affect a player's morale and all that. Now, these are things that have been in the game. I remember when they first introduced, I think it was back in, what, FC 25 or maybe FC 24, when they first had like the whole the player dynamic bar thing, or what is it, like an emotional bar thing. You had to like, try and get in like the right areas. That to me was a redundant thing, because it didn't matter if the player was overconfident, underconfident, or whatever, just in the green. Like, the player played the same for me regardless, and I also play on authentic gameplay, so it literally didn't have an effect. This will be interesting to see if it actually does take a toll on a player and on a team's emotional state and stuff like that, because I want that. I want to see if I slate a player in a press conference because I'm Jose Mourinho and Vinny hasn't been playing well, or something along those lines. Jude Bellingham hasn't played well. He's missed 5 penalties in a row. I want to see, by me slating him, will it actually affect his confidence? Will it boost his confidence? We need to see things like this actually take place, rather than, I don't know, not take place at all. So they're talking about Valverde here in this press conference, and key players know what I expect. Okay, so you can go with that, or you can say form is temporary, class is permanent. Well, cliche. However, both are kind of praising the player or trying to give the player confidence. If they're doing the same thing, they kind of feel a bit silly to me. Right, so that appears to be the trailer set and stone and all that stuff. I do like what I have seen. I'm a bit cautious about other things. I feel like EA, they big up certain new features, even though they've just masked them or painted over them with a fresh lick of paint, and then it's like, oh, look at this cool new thing. Meanwhile, we've always had it in the game. We have seen them do this in the past. I mean, in the last trailer, I literally said there's a few things here that aren't actually new, but they're showing it as though it is a new feature, even though we've always had it. So I am interested to see how some of these things pan out. I like some of the cool new cutscenes, and I like some of the cool new features in terms of like the negotiations and the dynamic overalls and potentials, and the way that it will vary depending on the player's mental stability, if you like. So I do like that. Let me know some of your thoughts and comments down below in the description, in the comments section. In the description, though, is the link for the Discord. So if you would like to extend the conversation into the Discord, you're more than welcome to. All are welcome over on there. And yes, anyways, until the next time, until the next one, I hope you guys have a smashing goddamn day, and I'm out of here. Peace!